Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Blake? What? Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is a free man. I'm out of jail. I'm out of jail, everyone. Ron is right here. Welcome back, everybody, for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Okay, so I got arrested for the first time. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't you get arrested in LA? Not according to the LAPD. And also when I got arrested in LA for protesting outside the Scientology Center out there, or at least during a protest, they never processed me. They never booked me. They just drove me to the station, locked me to the bench for 4 hours, and then let me go. They never processed me. And so last night I was processed for the first time, which was very interesting. I wish they had let me keep the little photo ID they give the inmates, because it was a damn good photo, and I was really hoping to sneak it out of there, but they don't let you leave with those. Okay, so I was charged with misdemeanor simple battery. Scientology was trying to get me charged with a felony by saying, oh, it's a felony if you do it to a security guard. And the police officers were like, if you can't tell you're a security guard, it doesn't matter that you're a security guard. If you're not wearing a security guard uniform, you can't just identify as a security guard. If you look like everyone else, we're not doing that. Scientology also tried to have me charged with trespassing, and the police said, we're not doing that. He was very clearly told he could go up to the steps by the lieutenant the previous week. We're not playing with the trespassing charge. And I'm going to read you the paperwork. I'm also going to show you the parts of the video, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, because I think Scientology is absolutely screwed. Scientology just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. Now, in some ways, I have also been escalating and escalating and escalating. But one of the reasons I wanted to show you some various parts of the video yesterday is to show you the efforts that we have been making to get further and further and further away from them, so that they have to come, they have to really show their intent, right? So what I mean further and further away from them, well, I'll show you in the video, but I'm talking about where we put our water barrier and where we put our chalk. We're trying to make it so that they have to really go out of their way to interfere with us and harass us while protesting, so that it's crystal clear that what they're doing to the protesters is illegal. And so I want to show you that. Oh, by the way, so, okay. So the only phone number I have memorized in the entire universe is Heather's phone number. I don't have my kids' phone numbers memorized. I don't have Jenna's phone number memorized. I do have my own phone number, and Heather's phone number are the only phone numbers that I have. And yet Heather was out of town. So I had to call Heather Collect to get her to call other people. And eventually I just asked Heather to give me the phone number of Feral Cheryl, because Feral Cheryl was going to be the one to actually come and bail me out. And I had to write her phone number in mustard. Guys, they gave us these bologna sandwiches. Bologna sandwiches didn't even have mayonnaise packs with them. They had mustard packs. Guys, I hate mustard, okay? I put mustard on the sandwich anyway, just because I couldn't bring myself to eat a dry bologna sandwich. I was afraid to ask the police officers for a pen. I thought you weren't allowed to have a pen. Why? Because you can shank someone with it. And I didn't want to ask them to hand me a deadly weapon. Okay, so then when I took this paper with my mustard writing over to the table where the cop was and asked him to let me use his pen, he goes, what did you do to that paper? I said I had to draw on it with mustard. It was either that or blood or feces, and I figured mustard was the better option. And he's like, why didn't you ask for a pen? I said, I didn't know I could. He's like, of course you can. I said, sorry, it's my first time in jail. By the way, the police, I want to say, the police, the Clearwater police, were unbelievably friendly, polite, kind, patient, and helpful. It was actually a real pleasure interacting with all the cops that I interacted with at the station. Now, the jail is a county jail, so that story that I just told you doesn't involve the Clearwater police, but the people, even the people in the jail, weren't that bad. I'll tell you what was bad. You guys aren't even going to believe this. It's almost like, you could write a script about this. The water to the building was turned off. The water to the entire prison it's not prison, it's a jail, was turned off for maintenance starting midnight. It was supposed to come back on at 4 a.m. It did not come back on until by the time I left the place at about 7:30 in the morning. The water was not on. No water. That's no water to drink. Now, guys, you know how much I sweat. You saw I went out to the protest at about 5 p.m.-ish. From 5 p.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning, I had a total of 12 ounces of fluids. Isn't that incredible? That almost seems like it should be illegal. So you figure maybe they could have gone to another building on the grounds of the jail, maybe the medical facility, filled up a bunch of coolers with water, rolled it in on a stand, handed out, cups of water to, I don't know, the 100 or so people that were in the processing area. No, we basically had to beg for 4-ounce containers of apple juice. It's really kind of messed up. Okay, so what was my point? Oh, I wanted to show you some paperwork, but I just really wanted to show you guys. So this is me finger painting with mustard, resting this on the top of the phone booth where I'm making a collect call to Heather. And Heather's laughing her ass off as I'm telling her what I'm doing. Okay, here's the actual, they give you your little charge sheet. And I'll just read some of this to you guys. Simple battery, misdemeanor. Aaron Asmithlevin. They asked me how tall I was, and I said, well, I say I'm 6'1", but I'm not sure if I really am. I said, it says 6'1" on my driver's license. Can you just put 6'1" on the paperwork? And she said, yes, we'll put 6'1" on the paperwork. Okay, so here's how the police officer wrote this up. At 6:02 p.m. at 215 South Fort Harrison Avenue in Pinellas County, did then and there actually and intentionally touch or strike John Gaffney against the will of John Gaffney and did not cause bodily harm. Now, I'll take issue with the concept that I touched him or struck him. I think the police officer is making it clear that, let's say you took a cup of water and you threw the cup of water on the person. That's the same language. It would say that you touched or struck him, even though it wasn't with your body. Apparently, John Gaffney was apparently touched or struck by a cloud of cornstarch powder that are used for children's color fun runs. Okay, on the above date and time, the defendant, I guess that's me, was engaged in a protest at the Church of Scientology. The defendant was with a small group who were writing chalk on a public sidewalk in protest against Scientology. At some point, the victim, John Gaffney, a member of the Church of Scientology, I thought it was interesting that they just call him a member and not a C organization member, a staff member of Scientology. I don't know that the police care about the distinction, but there you go. The victim exited the above mentioned location with a bucket of water in an attempt to clean the chalk from the sidewalk. The defendant, that would be me, then approached the victim, John Gaffney, and threw blue powdered chalk at the victim, covering his face and torso. See, here's the problem. This is a misstatement. John Gaffney had his back turned to me completely when said cornstarch made its way in his general direction. It couldn't possibly have covered his face and torso. In fact, you will see in the video that I show you that the spot that you can see where the cloud, the densest part of the cloud, contacted his shirt was the back of his shirt just above his waist. So this is an inaccurate statement. Oh, and by the way, I'm pleading not guilty. I haven't pled yet. I'm sure they have. I don't even know when my court date is. They haven't given me a court date. I'll absolutely be pleading not guilty. I'll be fighting this all the way. Okay, so it says blah, 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 covering the victim's face and torso, total false statement, causing the victim to be transported to the hospital for medical care. Respiratory distress. You guys will see in the video that John Gaffney is wearing a mask covering his nose and face during the entire interaction. You will see that he is faced away from me for the entire interaction. I think it is so, well, kind of disgusting, honestly, that Scientology wouldn't call an ambulance for Lisa McPherson when she was moments from death. They wouldn't call an ambulance for her. Not only did they not call an ambulance, they wouldn't even drive her to the closest hospital. They drove her to a hospital an hour away where she died before she got there. But they called an ambulance on a young, healthy, combat age Sea Org member who encountered a cloud of child's colored cornstarch while wearing a mask, while facing away from me, and I guess was so PTS and out ethics that he went the effect of that and pretended to have respiratory distress. Okay. The defendant, that would be me, is an outspoken, this is still the police report here, is an outspoken critic of the Church of Scientology and knew the victim was a member of the federally recognized religious entity. Okay. So it says at the bottom here, aggravating and mitigating factors, and it says force, hate crime, enhancement. So Scientology is trying to say this was a hate crime. And here's where I chuckle a little bit. The police officer, maybe it was just a typo. Maybe he doesn't know the difference between aggravating and mitigating. But the police report here says, the hate crime is a mitigating factor. I should say aggravating factor. Based on the defendant's actions before, during, and after the battery by intentionally targeting the victim, specifically because of the victim's affiliation with a federally recognized religious entity. Again, this is part of why Scientology is so screwed. Okay. I did not target anyone. They are the ones targeting the protesters for harassment. What you're going to see in a video is John Gaffney simply happened to be the only Sea Org member who came out, who went out of his way to walk as close to me as possible while I was standing on land I had permission to be on. So I didn't target him. It actually seems that he sought me out. And it's not accurate to say, like, if you want to say I targeted him with the dust, I didn't target him because he was a Scientologist. I targeted him because he was harassing us protesters. He could have been a hired non-Scientologist for all I care. So you see what I'm saying? It's not logically consistent that he was targeted because he's a member of that religion. He ended up in that interaction with me because he was harassing protesters and happened to be the closest person, the person who came within arm's reach of me, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so let's see. Here's what's not clear. This police report indicates the hate crime enhancement, but also maintains that it's a misdemeanor. What does the hate crime enhancement mean in the context of this misdemeanor simple battery charge? Some have said they believe it turns the misdemeanor simple battery charge into a felony simple battery charge. But I'm not sure. I don't believe that to be true, because otherwise it would just say felony on this report instead of misdemeanor. So anyway, the problem with asking for people's opinion about this is even people who are genuine experts will have differences of opinion. And therefore, by default, everybody on the internet is a legal expert. So, right? And by default, everyone on the internet is a legal expert. Okay, so this is it. I mean, this is the report. I don't have a court date. I'll just be going with a public defender on this. I'm not interested in hiring an attorney. I feel like if a public defender can't do this, then it's not meant to be done. What's this? Cup of tea. Just noticed YouTube are putting our @ before comments. Annoying. Oh, that was a mistake. The back office support did not mean to bring that comment up on the screen. That's okay. It's a learning curve. We're learning. Okay. Now, the truth is, when it came time to actually create my little dust cloud, which is what I was trying to do, I was not actually trying to dump it on him. I remember being very surprised at the moment that all that, what do they call it? Well, I'm going to call it holly powder. Is it holly powder? Let me pull up the website. I want to show you guys the powder that I'm saying is cornstarch, and they're saying is chalk. Just want to show you guys what it is. Holly powder. There it is. I think Color Blaze. Where's the, I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. I see that's the problem. Okay, Color Blaze seems to be the biggest website that has it. Holly, color powder supply. All right, let's just look at color powder supply here real quick. Here we go. The police even took the powder to test it to see if it had any toxins or poisons in it. They asked me if I had the original packaging. I'm like, the original packaging is a cardboard box. It comes in this plastic bag. Here's what the website looks like. So the police obviously watch all these videos. So officer, detective, this is where the materials are coming from. Well, actually, you know what? You know where I really got it from? People have been sending it to me from my Amazon wish list. So let me pull it up, holly powder on Amazon, so we can get it from the true source. By the way, guys, I need a lot more holly powder. Please send me more holly powder. Holly powder, Amazon. Okay. Yeah. All right, here we go. This is it. It's not cheap, guys. It's $30 a bag. It gets a little less expensive per unit when you buy multiple bags. And so it says it is Color Blaze holly colored powder for fun runs, color toss, Rangoli, powder war, backyard party, and festivals. In other words, this shit is meant to be thrown at people. That's how it's used recreationally. It's used in these color runs where you're literally throwing the powder at runners. I've seen people making arguments about how cornstarch can hurt people with asthma. It's like, if you guys think that guy has asthma, I got a bridge to sell you. That guy does not have asthma. And yeah, it's literally meant to throw at people while they're running. Okay. So let's see. Where was I going with my whole story here? Shit, I lost my train of thought. But I'll tell you what. I wonder if this is one of those videos where I should save the comments for the end, or should I read some of the starred comments right now and then continue on? Back office, thumbs up, thumbs down. Read now, read later. Okay, not important. Okay, good. We'll do read later. Okay. I have, in preparation of this video, put in the very specific timestamps in the video that I think are relevant to this conversation. And I hope you guys don't mind taking a little bit of time and going through this with me. So let me see. So first, I want to show you at 4 minutes and 53 seconds where I very specifically am setting up our water barriers, because this was the purpose of the experiment that we were out there for. Scientology seems to have been told by the police that as long as they are dumping the water towards us, but they're dumping the water on their side of the property line, it's okay. I presume the police have told them it's okay, because if not, I don't think Scientology would keep doing it. And so we go, okay, fine. If for some reason that's okay, which I don't think it is, I think it's absolutely illegal. I think it's criminal mischief. Intent is everything. They're only pouring water down the front stairs of their building to interfere with our protected activity that we're engaging in on public property. It's criminal mischief to intentionally destroy the artwork that we are doing on public property just because they don't like it. They can destroy it after we leave. But for them to destroy it while we're in the middle of creating it is, in my opinion, criminal mischief. And we will be filing police reports every time that they do it. Okay, we're going to make a big deal about this because we no longer can afford not to. That includes Jamie Castro. If you're watching, you have to file a police report. You have to file a police report against the woman who hit you with her broom while you were recording. You have to do it. I'm trying to think if there was another report that really needs to be made, and I'm not sure that there is. Okay, so a few generous viewers have donated these water-activated water barriers. And the purpose of that is to prevent them from being able to ruin our art by simply dumping water down the front stairs of their building. With these water barriers, they will have to come onto public property, step over our water barriers, and dump the water right where we are in order to ruin our property. And I wanted to see if they would do it. And they did. So let me show you setting up the water barrier.
Very nice.
Very nice. By the way, each one of these sections of water barrier is 5 feet long. I have 15 of them, thanks to the viewers who have donated 3 complete sets. I'm only using 2 because honestly, when they're inflated with water, they're very heavy and they're also a little slimy and gross. So I just wanted to start with 2 to see how it went. I have 15 of them. Okay. By the way, I am setting up this water barrier well away from their property line. Okay, good. All right. So then we do a lot of chalking. And okay, here, let me just find the next. I won't make you guys watch me scroll through all that. The first, so I put down the water barriers at 4 minutes and 53 seconds. The first water attack occurs at 19 minutes and 13 seconds. And I don't get a fantastic view of it, but here's what I do get. And we'll go back to here.
Hey, get it on video. Get on video. Hold on.
Oh shit, sorry.
So they walked over their property.
So he came onto public property and dumped that water right over our water barrier that we set up to protect our art.
Sorry.
Boom. He's on public property right there, not their property. But he didn't actually step over our barrier. But the next attack they do.
So they walked over their property line and dumped the water on our art. There you are.
I did not go on their stairs. The police told me I'm fine as long as I don't go on their stairs.
There's your cult members. There's your cult members. There they go. There they are. Get in there. Get in there. Okay, good.
Okay, good. So my response to that was, okay, for the first time, they actually came on a public property to dump their stuff over our barriers. Let's move the barriers even further away from them. Okay. And that's exactly what I do. And I want to show you that. That's at 2014. Okay. So I guess we just like this.
No, don't worry about that.
We're saying let's move these things even further on to public property.
Getting wet today.
Okay.
Okay. I'm closer.
Okay, good. Okay. So, all right, we do that. The next water attack comes less than 2 minutes later. So let's just fast forward this way. Boom. Look at that. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 gallons of water. 30 gallons of water. Look at him. He literally crosses our water barrier.
Sorry, we're in public property. Get out of here.
They all crossed our water barrier. They all committed criminal mischief by dumping 30 gallons of water on our public artwork on public property. And they are, where do you think all that water is going? Okay. They are soaking our feet. Why is that not battery? Okay. By the way, when I was at the Clearwater police station, okay, before they arrested me, the police officer at first had said, you know what? Them hitting you with water is battery. You hitting him with chalk is battery. I'm just going to write it up as mutual battery. You both did it to each other. I'll refer it to the whatever, the district attorney or the prosecutor, whatever, the state attorney, he can decide if he wants to do anything with it. I said, that sounds good to me. That sounds good to me. I said, honestly, one of the only reasons I even feel justified in getting chalk on them is because they're putting water on us. So if you want to write it up as a mutual battery, you have my blessing. So then what happened is he showed me the very specific clip of me throwing chalk on the guy, or at the guy. And he said, look, in this clip, it looks like he was pouring water here and you sort of walked up to him. It wasn't him throwing it on you. So the battery is only one-sided. So I'm going to have to arrest you. In the police station, the police officer himself went through the whole video and said, file complaints with the Florida Attorney General. Wouldn't be too surprised if the prosecutor would be in their back pocket. I'm not sure about that. The police officer went through the whole video, watched all 3 water attacks, and even told the detective, he said, look, that third water attack, what I don't think was battery, but I think the second water attack was. The detective didn't seem particularly interested in that argument at that moment, but I just wanted to point out that even one of the police officers said that. By the way, another one of the police officers, I won't name names, specifically said to me, do not admit guilt in this incident. Don't do it. Because I was going to have the opportunity to do a diversion program where you don't get arrested and you don't do this. You do enough community service and the whole thing gets expunged, and it never happened. And he said, but you'd have to, in order to do that, you have to admit fault. He goes, do not admit fault. Do not do that. I thought, hey, wow. When one of the police officers involved in arresting you tells you, do not admit guilt, I like that advice. Okay, so this was the second one that the police officer said, that looks like battery to me. They dumped that water right on you guys. Okay, so let's see.
This is public property, and you just came out and interfered with our constitutionally protected speech on public property. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Go get it, buddy. Go get it. Go get it. What? This stuff that you abandoned on public property?
I put those buckets over by the sidewalk, and I put some Scientology protest signs on top of them and invited them to go over and get the buckets from the sidewalk. Okay. The next timestamp that I have marked here is, okay, 2405. And that is, once again, moving the water barriers back even further.
Okay, let's move this a little closer to us.
We are now nowhere near their property line. I feel like it's really important for me to highlight this. And the reason that I'm highlighting it is to show our intent. Our intent was to prove how far Scientology will go to interfere with and harass the protesters. We are moving further and further and further away from their property line to see just how far they will go.
Okay, good. They can, they're more than welcome to keep coming out. That's actually why we keep running these experiments, is to see just how far out of the way they will go to interfere with us on public property. Will they come out to public property? Will they step over our barriers that we've erected on public property? And this is honestly the first time they've done it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so
I hope if you guys are Scientologists, you never let your kids join the Sea Organization.
958. Okay, the next water attack doesn't happen for 24 minutes. And it's a big one, guys. It's the big one. And it's honestly hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water they are pouring intentionally in our direction on public property at protesters engaged in constitutionally protected activity. I do not know why the police continue to tolerate this.
All right, you ready, Jim? You know what I'm saying? Hey, why? See, Jim, here we go. Let's get ready to party, baby. Let's get ready to party. Jamie, let's get ready to party, baby. Come on.
Now, here's the mistake I made. Honestly, here's the strategic mistake I made, especially given the context of what I just said. Our intention was in running this experiment. If we wanted to continue to prove how far they were willing to go, then I should have allowed them to come up to us like I did last time. That was a strategic mistake.
Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. Oh, it's
Look, why is it legal for them to intentionally dump about 250 gallons of water directly at my feet on public property? Like, what do I have to do? Do I have to be barefoot? Like, I can imagine someone being like, it just touched your shoes. Okay, what if I was barefoot? Do I need to be barefoot in order to have throwing 250 gallons of water in someone's direction on purpose be battery? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and it doesn't make sense to me that I would have to be barefoot. It seems to me that your shoes should be good enough. What do you guys think?
it's just gonna hit our water barrier, you losers. Yeah. Here you go.
That's a big cloud. Okay, I want to show some things here. Watch this. You'll notice I'm gonna back up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then actually, I think I'm playing this on 1 1/4 speed. When we watch the actual thing, I'm going to slow it down to normal speed. Okay, I want you to watch where everyone is standing.
Let's get ready to party, baby.
We have 4 people. The 2 people on the outside have the I don't know how many gallons of water would be in one of those trash haulers. 50, 75, 100 gallons. They're on the outside.
Come on,
Okay.
bring it.
They dump first.
Bring it.
Okay.
Bring it.
The guy who ends up who I end up getting chalk on, he's standing second from the right. He's standing second from the right. Watch him specifically walk over to my side and walk down the steps towards me.
Oh, it's just gonna hit our water barrier, you losers. Yeah. Here you go.
Now look, I wish I could zoom in on this. I saw another clip of this that had much better zoom. I want to watch this again. Can you guys let me know in the live chat if you can tell that he's turned away from me when
Water barrier, you losers.
when I do the big cloud?
Here you go.
Okay. He turns away from me. He keeps walking backwards, and then he walks back into the cloud.
Yeah. Come on, bring it back. Come on back, baby.
Okay. When he turns around, do you see the dark blue spot just above the back of his pant line where he really kind of, I guess, the cloud of holly powder was the densest?
I got everybody in it, by the way. Yeah.
No. Here, watch when he. Okay, it's when he dumps and then turns around
Come on,
again.
bring it back.
Look,
back, baby.
you see the spot on his back? He couldn't have that spot on his back if he was facing me when he got powdered.
What? Did you want some more? Come on, we can play. Did you want some more, buddy? Come on, let's go. We can play. We can play. Let's go. Come on, we can play.
Okay, that was pretty much it. I also want to show you the clip later of my conversation with the police officer before I got arrested. Okay, so that bag originally had a hole. Okay, I don't even have, what can I use? I don't have anything I can use. So imagine the bag is a square. The bag originally had a hole in the side of the bag about a quarter of the way down the bag. And I had been using the bag to sprinkle some holly powder on the ground. And that was the purpose of making maybe a thumb-sized hole so that it didn't just dump out, because that's an inefficient use of powder. So when I went over to him, my intention was to create a cloud of powder. If you've used this powder, you realize, like, once it hits the air, it disperses very quickly. It's like if you sprinkle it on the ground carefully, it will stay clumped. But if it catches any wind whatsoever, poof, it disperses. It immediately, like, atomizes, essentially, whatever the word is. So what happened is, you can see the bag was shaken twice. One, okay, and I want to show it to you so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Look how. Here you go. Bring it.
Okay, here we go. Watch. Do you see? There's 2 shakes. There's one. There's one down low, one up high.
Here you go.
Okay, the one down low wasn't very big.
Yeah.
The one up high was, like, very surprisingly big, and that's because what happened is, as I shook that bag, a giant hole popped in the top of the bag that I had not created. Okay. It was not my intent to sort of end up dumping half of that bag on that guy. And I was surprised when it happened. So again, and actually you can even see earlier in the video, me shaking powder out of the bag onto the ground. And then, well, you can't see in the video because you can't see the giant hole that opened up in the top when I guess I must have like squeezed the bag when I shook it, and it sort of popped the bag and it created this hole in the top. And that's why so much of the powder ended up going in his direction. What I really wanted to do was create a big cloud. Now, it would be interesting to see in the future if Scientology would try to make further complaints if their Sea Org members walked into holly powder clouds that we created in our area as they were walking towards us. So let's say there's 4 Sea Org members walking towards us with buckets, and we are standing in front of our chalk art, and we make a big holly powder cloud before they get there. I would argue it's the Sea Org members' choice whether to walk through that holly powder cloud that we just created on public property in the area that we're occupying. Do you think Scientology would try to be like, oh, they got holly powder on us? Like, no, the holly powder was in the air and you walked towards us. I had another fun idea. What if all the protesters had super soakers, water guns? And as soon as we saw the Sea Org members walking towards us, all the protesters started shooting each other with super soaker water guns. And the Sea Org members would have to decide whether they wanted to walk through our water gun fight. Me and Cheryl have been brainstorming on how to get around this. Now, here's also the other funny thing. We already have the ultimate hack to avoid all of this nonsense, at least when it comes to the emblem. And we're going to reveal that hack, not this weekend, but next weekend. And you guys are going to absolutely love it. So it is sort of unfortunate that even though we already have the plan in place on how to avoid water wars, that this final escalation occurred. And it's unfortunate. But I do think it is going to backfire on Scientology in a very, very major way. I really, really do. There's some debate right now on whether Scientology will try to parlay this into a request for a restraining order. I think it stands to reason that it wouldn't surprise anybody that they would try, but it would create a very ripe anti-SLAPP situation that would embarrass the hell out of Scientology. So in order to get a restraining order, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because everyone on the internet is a legal scholar, including myself, you have to prove some sort of pattern of consistent harassment or stalking of an individual, not of the Church of Scientology. And you also can't call our protesting stalking and harassment because it's protected activity. What was the name of the victim? John Gaffney. I don't know who John Gaffney is. I don't know what he looks like. I've never spoken to him. I mean, I guess I spoke. I don't even know if I've ever spoken to him. Well, when I said, would you want some more? We can play. Like, I don't know John Gaffney. I couldn't possibly stalk John Gaffney. I couldn't possibly harass John Gaffney. I don't even know what he looks like. Also, at the Flag Land Base, there's probably 100 security guards. It's not like L. Ron Hubbard Way where there's only like a dozen. There's probably like 100 security guards. You have to understand, I don't know who John Gaffney is, and I don't even know what he looks like. If it's the guy that got chalk, holly powder on him, he's wearing a mask. I still don't even know what he looks like. And he's my victim. I still don't even know what he looks like. So us going to protest at Flag is not consistent and continual stalking and harassment of John Gaffney. I'll tell you what, out of the 100 Sea Org members, maybe they should stop sending John Gaffney out. Like, it's not even also true that they always send the same people. I have no idea if they always send John Gaffney out or if that was the first time. But I'll tell you what, if they were to send him out again, that would be their problem. See, we're not there to harass their security guards. We're there to protest. They send their security guards out to harass us, interfere with our protest, and damage our protest art. I'm sorry, that is illegal. And one of the reasons that why Scientology is so screwed is it is now full court press. No longer Are we going to sit back and be like, we don't want to bother the police. We don't want to be a nuisance. No, guess what? You're getting a phone call on everything. Everything. Every time they come out and destroy our art while we're in the middle of doing it on public property, you're getting a 911 call. Every time one of their members comes over and makes physical contact with the protester, you're getting a phone call. Okay? Scientology wants to escalate. Scientology wants to play legal warfare. We're going to protect our rights. We're going to defend ourselves. Okay? We're going to put Scientology on the defense. Because even though we have a workaround for this emblem area, it will still remain to be seen whether they will come onto the brick. Let's say I put those water barriers just on the brick. Will they come onto the brick, which is nowhere even close to their property, step over our water barriers, which are there to protect our protest art, and destroy what we're creating as we're creating it? Please tell me how that is not criminal mischief. Please tell me how that is not criminal mischief. Okay, let's see. I wanted to show you the part where I had the conversation with the police officer, but at this point, I feel like it's irrelevant. I'll tell you what, I have timestamps on this video. If you guys want to see the conversation that I had, I think one of the reasons I wanted to show you that part of it is so that you could see where the police officer himself said, we're not going to arrest you. Them hitting you with water is battery. You hitting the guy with chalk is battery. It's a mutual battery. No arrests are being made. And it wasn't until Scientology convinced the officer at that time, that the water did not constitute battery. And I think it was also probably in the heat of the moment, they had convinced the police that the fact that he was a security guard was going to actually make it a felony, and therefore he couldn't not arrest me. Now, I still want to give credit to the Clearwater police here. When I was handcuffed and put into the car, they did not take me to the jail. They drove me 1 block down the street, and we went into the police station for the next 3 hours. Now, before we went into the police station, we stayed outside the police station for probably 20 minutes because the officers said, look, we're trying to figure out how to handle this so that it's not an arrest. And he was literally on the horn with someone trying to get approval to just have me do a diversion instead. Now, this was before we had the conversation in the building where one of the officers says, do not admit guilt. And admitting guilt was required to do the diversion. He said, do not admit guilt. So they were trying to figure out how to not arrest me, how to not take me to jail. They also told me that several of the high executive brass of the police station, of the police force, were watching my live stream as it occurred. He also told me that Scientology had made a ton of 911 calls to the police about us before the so-called battery. And that's why the police had driven by a few times, and they said, we are not going to stop and even talk to the protesters just because Scientology is constantly calling 911, complaining about this, complaining about that. Oh, by the way, funny thing, it turns out there'd been a rumor. More than one of the police officers said to me, so I heard there's a rumor that you're moving. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, we were at the city council meeting. People were chatting and said, hey, did you hear Asmithlevin moving? I'm like, you guys are talking about me at the city council meeting? I'm like, I'm not moving. Where would anybody get that idea? Who is spreading the rumor that I am moving away from Clearwater? I am not moving. Okay. What was my point about the police? Oh yeah, the police were trying to figure out how to not make this a big deal. And I really appreciate it. And I believe them. And I don't think it was just performative. And honestly, so we were at the police station for 3 hours. Now, we went to the police station. Once we were outside the station for about 20 minutes when he's like, okay, he says, look, we're going to have to arrest you, but it is just going to be a misdemeanor. I'm like, all right, well, we got to do what you got to do. So we go up to the interview room. We're sitting there. We're waiting for the detective. We waited for the detective for like an hour. Now, I don't mind sharing with you that the officers said to me, we have no idea why we are waiting for a detective right now. This is very unusual. There's no reason for it. Normally, we would just go to jail. We do not know why we're waiting for a detective. So the detective showed up. He did read me my rights. I did talk to him. I know people will say that was stupid, but it is what it is. I didn't tell him anything that he wouldn't be able to see from all my videos. I understand that there are 5 rules on how to conduct yourself with the police, and all of them are shut the fuck up, don't talk to the police. I'm a sucker for being cooperative, you guys. You know me. That's my reputation. Okay, so we spoke to the detective. When the detective left, I asked the officers, what the fuck was even the point of this conversation? And they said, we don't know. And then I sat in that fucking interview room for another hour waiting to be transported. And I said, guys, what is going on? Is someone still undecided about whether I'm going to jail tonight? And the answer I got was, we have no idea what we're waiting for. Really? For real? And so then once it was finally time to go to jail, straight to jail, I said, so let me get this right. We have no idea why we waited for a detective. We have no idea why we spoke to the detective. And we have no idea why we sat around and waited for an hour to be transported. And he said, if I had any better answers to give you, I promise you I would. And I believe him. Okay, so then I went straight to jail. And that was an interesting experience, right? So walk right in, instantly swap clothes for an orange jumpsuit, right into the holding tank for men. There was 16 people to begin. And then they took 10 out to process, and then a bunch more came in. I think all told, over the 2 hours, I was basically in the holding tank for 2 hours. I didn't get to the jail until 10:30. Left the holding tank at about 12:30 to go to processing. That's just photograph, fingerprints. Inexplicably takes forever. And processing took 2 hours. By the way, the cops told me, once you go to jail, in and out, bail out, boom, bang, done in 2 hours. It took 8 hours. Oh, and then when I get to jail, the guy at the desk says, oh, once you post your bail, it can take 4 to 6 hours to get you out of here, even after your bail is paid. I was like, what? And then other people in the jail were like, oh, yeah, I've seen it take 10 hours. I was like, Jesus Christ. Luckily, it only took 3 hours. So I think Cheryl ended up paying the bail sometime around 3:30, maybe closer to 3. And then they called me to leave at like 6:30. And then it takes a while to finally get out of there at like maybe 7:15. And then I think I was in the car on the way home at 7:30 a.m. So honestly, 12 hours in police custody. Over that 12-hour period at the Clearwater police station, they did give me a warm 12-ounce bottle of water. And then there was the 4-ounce containers of apple juice at the jail, and no water at the jail. 0 water at the jail. So 12 ounces of water at the police station, about 8 ounces of apple juice is what I had over a 12-hour period. Now, you guys see how much I sweat? I drink as much water in real life as is commensurate with how much you see me sweat. I probably drink about 2 cans of water an hour. I live off of water. So anyway, I guess I'm complaining, but it was an interesting experience. You want to know what really struck me? It was very easy to make friends with the people who were being booked and everything. What really struck me is how many people are in jail, were arrested and being processed and in jail for bullshit, for total bullshit. There was also some straight up lunatics in there, which honestly was a little fun. One guy was there because he'd gotten into a car accident with a lady, and it was a scratch on her car, and she wanted $4,500, and she sued him in small claims court. And this was a young black man. And he had been diligently showing up to every single court date over about a 3 or 4 month period. And he received a notice that indicated a postponement of the next court date. And he had the notice, next court date postponed. And there was some confusion. There was some mix-up. And the court date that he got a letter saying had been postponed to another date was apparently not postponed. And he did not. So he was missing from that court hearing. And so a warrant was issued for his arrest. And now wait, as I'm saying this, it doesn't make sense that it would be a civil lawsuit, right? Could you be a warrant for your arrest on a civil lawsuit, or does this sound like it has to be criminal in nature? In either case, the police showed up to arrest him for missing a court date. And he's like, what are you talking about? I got this letter right here. Said right here, postponed. And they're like, sure it does. That's wild. Because there's a warrant for your arrest, we have to bring you in. This kid's never been arrested before in his life. And he's there being arrested for something he did not do wrong. The system has failed that kid. And, his arrest might eventually be expunged and all that stuff. But, this guy's got a job. There was another guy there who was arrested for DUI. And I'm like, how'd that happen? And he explained it. He's like, I pulled out of this place. I was about to miss my exit. I cut across all lanes of traffic. Reckless driving, probably. Cut across all lanes of traffic. It was like late at night. There was no traffic on the street, but he cut across all the lanes, and the cop lit him up, gave him a DUI. And he said, have you had anything to drink? He said, I had 2 Mick Ultras. And he's okay. Let's do a field sobriety test. The guy's a big guy. As a big guy, balance is not my strong suit. Okay. He did the field sobriety tests. The cop did one of these things where he did the light thing. He's like, oh, his eyes looked a little glazy. He took a breathalyzer. 0.024. Exactly what you would expect from a big guy that drank 2 Mick Ultras. He was not legally intoxicated. Arrested anyway. Car towed. Because the officer said, it looks like he might be under the substance of something else. Maybe like meth or crack. I don't know why he's saying that. This was one of the guys that was in the holding cell with me. When he said it was there for a DUI, I was confused because the guy was very obviously stone cold sober and had just been arrested for DUI. And he goes, yeah, so, did the piss test, did the blood test, did the whatever. And it's like, this guy's now going to have to go through so many legal hoops to get this thing thrown out. And it's very hard to get a DUI thrown out from what I understand. But he has a legal case to do it. But now look at all the hoops that he's got to go through because one police officer just wanted to arrest him. Yeah. It was kind of fun. It was fun meeting these people. It was a crazy experience, but it's crazy that there's this whole industry in our country of just kind of punishing people. And I'm not saying there's not a place for the criminal justice system. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who very much deserve to be in jail. But it's wild to consider how many people just get caught up in it for no real good reason. And, one of the things I said to the officer, the detective was there in the interview room with me with one of the officers. It might have been the arresting officer. I was like, you do see the problem here, right? I said, these guys have been dumping thousands of gallons of water on us. It's in my videos. The police officers have seen it. We mention it to the police officers when they show up. Oh, that's the other reason I wanted to show you my conversation with the cop, because I say this to him. Not only did I say it in the interview room, but I say it to him here in the video. The timestamp of when I start talking to the police is 1 hour and 15 seconds. 1 hour exactly and 15 seconds is when in the live stream, you guys can just watch it later, when I start explaining to the police the greater context of what's happening here. Is like, because well, did you file a police report? It's like, come on, man. The police come out, we tell them what's happening, and the police basically say, you guys can chalk the public sidewalk, they can throw water on the public sidewalk. And I've always responded, we know it's not illegal to throw water on a public sidewalk. It's illegal to throw water at protesters who are standing on a public sidewalk. It's illegal to throw water at what the protesters are creating. It's intentionally interfering with legal and constitutionally protected activity. And the intent matters. It's not like we just happen to be chalking in front of their rain downspout. And oh no, it's inadvertent. It's like they are only walking outside with many hundreds of gallons of water to throw it in our direction. And it's like the police should be the one to be like, you're right. We're going to talk to them about that. Not like, well, did you do anything about it? Well, you were there. Did you do anything about it? And, one of the crazy things here, and even the police officers acknowledge this in the interview, is like, you can't rely on police to be the source or the reference for what is or is not legal. He's like, police do not know everything that is legal or is not legal. You could have some newer police officer that walks by while someone's doing something and says, nothing wrong with this. But then another police officer comes along and gives you a ticket or arrests you for the same thing you might have already gotten away with 100 times. And on the other side of the coin, just because the police officer says something is illegal doesn't mean it is. And so we're sort of at the mercy of experts who aren't necessarily the authority on the thing we expect them to be and want them to be experts in. So we're really left to fend for ourselves. And the truth is, up until now, our approach has been, don't be a pest to the city. Don't be a pest to the police. Just be here for the right reasons. We're not here to drag the city into it. We do have to fend for ourselves, and we do have to defend our own rights. And we do have to insist that the police get as involved in defending us and our rights as Scientology insists the police get involved and defend Scientology's rights, especially when you now have a total abuse of the system. So I said, you see the problem with them having dumped thousands of gallons of water on us. And the moment this guy gets some holly powder on him, which, by the way, is all over us as well, I'm arrested and I'm in jail. I said, by the way, the problem is also 2 weeks ago, a Scientologist literally physically hit me and I filed a complaint against her. You guys already know who she is. You guys have already seen the video. You guys already know how to contact her. You guys already know where she lives. She's not in jail. She actually physically hit me. I did not hit this guy. I've made no physical contact with this guy whatsoever. He gets some holly powder on him. I'm in jail. You see the problem, right? Even the detective pretty much seemed to be like, I see the problem. It's like, okay, let's go to jail. All righty. I need some water. Hold on. I need a fresh cold water. Hold on. Oh boy. Okay. We got a whole bunch of starred comments here. Let's work through them and we'll wrap this up. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't done the math, I have not slept. I did not sleep last night. I didn't want to sleep last night. I didn't intend to sleep last night. I was also hoping I was only ever 30 minutes away from getting out last night, but literally I have not been to bed. I have not had any rest. Okay, let me see. Okay, good. All right, I thought I had to leave soon, but I don't. So we are good. Okay, good. Let's go through these starred comments. Krista Vivier, Cheryl Farrell, thanks for all you did. Yes, thank you so much to Cheryl and Erica and Jenna and Heather. And there's one other person, like Cheryl and Erica, and one other person was actually at the jail at 11:30 p.m. last night because they thought I was going to be getting out at any minute. And then eventually they realized, we better go home because we're going to be here all night. Mrs. Bramlett Jr., at least the cult didn't claim that Aaron's boobs attack them. I feel attacked by you talking about my man boobs. I feel like you're fat shaming me. No, I know you're making a joke about Nance Drew. Susan Dipper. Hold on. Susan Dipper. Hi, Aaron. So glad you're home and so glad to see you. Scientology cannot keep you down, even though they try their hardest to silence you. CO Bilf, dude is going to have to make 50,000 milligrams of sonaniacin to flush out the cornstarch toxins. I know. I mean, this really is, Jenna has a story. Maybe Jenna will do her own video reacting to this. Jenna has a story of being at one of the Sea Org staff musters at Flag during the Lisa McPherson era. The Lisa McPherson Trust era where, there's a lot of protesters. And it was either Scientology's Sea Org members or some of the Sea Org members in the Office of Special Affairs getting up in front of the whole crew at staff meeting and bragging about how the protesters go out there and basically perform, LeBron James level acting as far as flopping and getting protesters arrested, bragging about faking injuries, faking interactions, faking, oh no, I got hurt, to get protesters arrested. And this was their version of that. I mean, obviously, it was the Sea Org member being rolled away on a stretcher to an ambulance claiming respiratory distress while, oopsie, still wearing the mask over his nose and mouth. Even the detective laughed out loud when I pointed out that someone claiming they were in respiratory distress would not keep their nose and mouth covered with a mask while being rolled to the ambulance. He was he laughed out loud and rolled his eyes. Like, no one is falling for this shit. But I also am not sure. Like, let's just say that the respiratory distress thing is a totally BS. I don't think that matters when adjudicating whether what happened with the powder was battery. Maybe you guys can give me your opinion on that as well. So let's chew on this for a minute, because I don't have the answer, but I'm wondering if you guys have opinions on it. What is the point of faking the respiratory distress? Were they hoping that it would just help increase the thing to a felony? Does the fact that he's claiming respiratory distress, like it's not included in, it's still a simple battery. It's a simple battery, whether he has respiratory distress or not. Is it something that they're hoping that once it gets in front of like the prosecutor or the state attorney or however it works, that they can try to convince that guy to increase the charges? Is that how the strategy works here? I wonder about that. Look at this. Brave boy, 20 channel memberships gifted. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. John Shostowski. I guess those bastards made you stay overnight. Yes, they did make me stay overnight, but not because I was actually, in a bunk or anything like that. But yeah, that's actually, do you know honestly what was going through my mind? I was like, am I sitting in this police station for 3 hours just to make it really, really, really fucking inconvenient about getting out of jail in the middle of the night? That's what I was wondering. But it was only I honestly don't think that of the Clearwater police. Like, it was a thought that I had. It's not something I actually believe. But that's why I was like, why are we waiting? This is when I still thought it was going to take 2 hours. They told me it would take 2 hours from arriving at the jail to getting out. They told me it would take 2 hours. So I was like, these motherfuckers want me to get out of jail at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning instead of 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That's what's happening, right? The truth is, it's probably better that I didn't get there earlier, because it turns out when I got into the holding cell, there were people there who had been waiting already for 8 hours. And that's because what had happened was a giant van of people, of immigrants that had been detained by ICE, federal agents, a giant van of about 23 undocumented immigrants was dropped off at the jail. And all those people had to be processed first. So it was probably more comfortable for me to be killing a few hours at the Clearwater police station instead of the county jail. So that was a little lucky, actually. Stay Spiria, good to see you. Freedom looks good on you, Aaron. Thank you, Stace. I appreciate it. Shoe Gal, they are interfering with your First Amendment right. Pandora Wake, who knew being a liar is how you become the most ethical people on earth? I like that one. Good Juju travels. There's a jealous bucket pooper out there. Wait, there's a jealous bucket pooper out there is so jealous. I can only imagine who you're talking about. Coffee, Colts, and Crafts. Feral Cheryl saved the day. By the way, I think the hate crime enhancement is why bail was $1,000 instead of $500. The cops even told me it would be $500. And then when I found out it was $1,000, I was like, what? For simple battery? The hate crime enhancement is the reason why. Okay, Black Iris. This is hilarious. When I was in jail, sandwiches had fruit flies. You lucked out, man. Oh, what? That's terrible. Jobless Dane. Heyo, cheers from Denmark. Hey there. Keep fighting the good fight. And no, I'll buy you around if you ever come over here. Also, how's McPherson, you spies? I feel like I'm not fully understanding the last sentence, but it is funny. And I'll think on it later. Stay Spiria. You actually can't deprive people of water. It's a basic thing. That's exactly what I thought as well. And may be true. George Massey, apple juice, hardcore punishment in the big house. I know. Well, they have to give you something, right? I mean, I think in the LAPD gives you orange juice. I thought we were going to get orange juice. I've never seen smaller apple juice containers. You know, in school, you'd get like the milk cartons, and you know, these were half that size. They're giving full-grown adults drinks half the size they give children in grade school. Okay, Jose Geronimo. I'm an SP and grew up in Scientology. Love Aaron and the work he's doing. Thank you so much, Jose. Stasia Flonez. Another ridiculous claim by the effing cult that can't or shouldn't be taken seriously. How did emergency services take part in the ruse? Can't wait for the backlash. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think emergency services can deny help just because they think some person's acting. I think you know, they've got to transport, and they're getting paid for it anyway. So what do they really care? You know. Cup of tea. Absolutely. He had his back turned. He was turning away. John Shostowski. What? Oh, was the medical care a cough drop? Mommy 1978. I have asthma. You do not wear a mask if you are in distress. That makes no sense. Bada bang. The gay divorcee. I love it. I work in an ER. We would be laughing our asses off if he came in. You can't have a hate crime if there is no crime to begin with. Rib guy. Sounds like we need to get the names of all the staff that threw water towards protesters. As per what the cop said, it is assault. Counter charges. Exactly. The next time they come out, we're going to call the police, and we're going to say, no, we're making a complaint. We want to file charges or press charges or whatever. Okay, burner account. Well, you have to go back out there today. I am going to be going back out there today, but not to do chalking. I'm going to be taking measurements of the emblem. We need the precise diameter for our counter water wars hack. Okay, Bliss Chris. So basically, it's the equivalent to blowing bubbles. Can you imagine a Scientologist falling to the ground because you blew bubbles at them? Oh my God, that is such a good analogy. That's exactly what it is. What if we set up one of those bubble blowing machines? Just those kids things. We need a little, you know, like it blows like hundreds of bubbles at a time. And every time the SEERG members come out, like, careful, danger, this is a bubble zone. We don't want you to get hurt. Stay away, stay back, caution, bubble zone. And then I could throw holly powder up in the air to coat all the beautiful bubbles. Lisa Gemini, thank you so much. Citizens erased Muse. Chumley was trying to make fun of this last night, then turned off comments. Last night. Oh, last night. See, I've lost all sense of time. I was like, last night. What is he? Is he Nostradamus? I was like, oh, that was last night. Sorry, guys. My mind's gonna be screwed for the next 48 hours. Cincy born, pouring water at people is an intention of a crime. Ren listens. Feral Cheryl got hit by that guy when she was on the side. He did. That guy intentionally walked into her and bumped her. Not incidental, not accidental, very intentional. Jen Cass, good to see you, Jen. Feral Cheryl's a total rock star. You're the kind of friend that we all need. Jobless Dane. Hey, I might be a hick, POS, with a drinking problem, but at least I ain't a Scientologist. Good juju travels. This makes me want to fly down and join the chalking. Thank you for reminding me about the other reason why Scientology is totally screwed. Streets LA, William Good, Scientology audit, has made the Scientology Test Center on Hollywood Boulevard an international tourist attraction because his content at that place goes viral as hell on TikTok. Now, I don't know how many of you have noticed, but when we're out there live streaming on YouTube, almost everyone for the last month who has walked by and says, hey, are you that guy on? They do not say, are you that guy on YouTube? They say, are you that guy on TikTok? These flag protest videos do very, very well on TikTok. And there was a surprise guest last week who was supposed to show up but couldn't make it, but we're still expecting him to show up this week or next week. A TikToker with millions of views. When Scientology is out here making fools of themselves like this, coming out with 50 gallons of handheld buckets at a time and dumping them on our art, it gives us viral ready videos for TikTok. Scientology is bringing into being the thing it fears most: viral internet exposure right at the Flagland base where David Miscavige wants it the least. So them doing this was a massive strategic misstep. Okay. Rainy Day Puddles. Could you use the barriers to spell out cult? You totally could, but then they wouldn't work as barriers. Sean speaks. Since the police classified it as mutual battery, your chalk and his water, is the other person also being arrested or just you? Excellent question, Sean. The answer is just me. Because the police officer at the time of the arrest was only looking at the water that was poured in my direction immediately before the powder got on the guy. When we were in the police station, he then saw the other incidents. Now, if I'd been thinking at the time, I would have said, good, I would like to file a police report about the second incident. And you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I am going to do that. I'm still in touch with Detective Lightfoot, who's the one investigating the complaint of the Scientologist who smacked me in the arm. And I will. Here's the thing. I'm the one, I guess, who has to be like, hey, I know you just said that was a crime, but I guess you won't do anything about it until I initiate it. Like, is that how this works? I guess that's how that works. So as of right now, that guy isn't being arrested and isn't being charged with anything and doesn't have any criminal complaints against him because I guess I have to make a new one. But see, here's the thing. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud and I haven't had any sleep. But if in that moment, the police officer literally said, I'm writing it up as a mutual battery, he could still have done that. He could have still even done that after the fact. He's the one that called it mutual battery. He's the one who saw the third clip and said, I don't think that qualifies, but saw the second clip and said, I think that qualifies. He could and should write it up. But this is an example of me not knowing, like, I would expect him to do that. And the fact that he doesn't do it makes me think that he doesn't think it's a crime. And I just feel there have been so many instances where I go to a police officer and I say, this thing happened. And instead of them saying, then you should submit a report. Definitely. They go, not a big deal. And so then you don't submit a report because the person you would submit that report to has just told you it's not a big deal. Anyway, it can be maddening having to navigate through all this stuff. Okay, Swedish Andrea. His back was definitely turned. Ace-Coos. He turned around when the powder was flying. Going back into that cloud is like he punches himself in the face and complains about it. I like that. That's a good point. Rib Guy says, can we call you Papa Smurf now? Yes, that's definitely a Smurf blue. How was the Clearwater jail versus the LA jail? Also, I thought you handled yourself very well. Thank you. So I never saw the inside of the LA jail because I never got processed. I just sat in the waiting area the whole time. But from the little that I did see, the Pinellas County, it's because it's actually not the Clearwater jail. It's the Pinellas County jail. It is located in Clearwater. The Pinellas County jail is a really nice jail, to be perfectly honest. And from speaking with one of the guys in there who's been to a lot of jails and prisons in Florida, he said Pinellas County is one of the places that you want to be. Do you know most of the prisons in Florida don't have air conditioning? Did you guys know that? That's what this guy told me. The one here in Clearwater has air conditioning. Rib Guy says he is just mad. He has no other clothes. He's going to be laughed at roll call. Blue Guy here. Oh, the Sea Org member. Yeah. Jenna Miscavige. Hi, Jenna. Hate crimes go both ways. It's a hate crime for them to batter you as well. That's right. So if they can claim that it's a hate crime when something happens to them because it's being done to a Scientologist by an ex-Scientologist, how about something being a hate crime specifically because a Scientologist is doing it to an ex-Scientologist? I think that's something that should be tested. Lexian 40. Police are not attorneys. They can lie. Always consult an attorney. Lisa Gemini. What a waste of police time. Just Fingy gifted 1 channel membership. Thank you so much, Just Fingy. I appreciate it. And Jenna says, probably trying to say you are a flight risk by spreading a rumor that you are moving. Ooh, I like that. The Real Sassafras. You have got to write a book. You have so much content. I bet you would sell more than Dianetics. Just Fingy. David B. Trained the Scientologist to lie. Is this David Miscavige? David V. David, I think it's David. I think, yeah. I mean, all the Scientologists are basically trained to lie to the police. And George Massey says, Jenna is a superstar. Yes, Jen is doing the starring. Izzy B. Angel. Izzy, I think I got an email from you. No, I got a text message from you. Yes, and I will do that, by the way. Put the auto bubble maker on your list, please. Bubbles 2. Thank you. Okay, let me put that on my to-do list so I don't forget. Okay. Auto bubble maker and bubbles 2. Having a bubble zone, danger! Steer clear of the bubble zone. Also, if they pop our bubbles, is that not vandalism? Protesting Fairy, member for 16 months. Thank you so much for being a member for 16 months. Add a few of the auto bubble creators, please. Absolutely. Okay, good, guys. Well, there you have it. That was the experience. I'm going to fight this every step of the way. We're going to make fools of these guys. If they go for a restraining order, we'll anti-slap the shit out of them. And yeah, I think things are going to be A-okay. And you know what I really liked? The fact that the police officer said when he thought the water, was poured right on us, that it was battery. What do you think, guys? Are they going to continue to come out and pour water on us? I mean, they got what they want when they got me arrested. That's fine. But did we get what we wanted? Did we accomplish them finding out that the police will no longer tolerate them pouring water on us while we're out there? We'll see soon enough. Stay tuned for Friday, folks. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click wow.